thanks everyone for joining us. And Jason, you especially, it's really exciting to connect in this way. I'm sure you've done a lot of these considering the state of the world. You're doing the Zooms and the YouTube lives and all that.
Quite the popular trend.
Yes, yeah. But it's a trend that we are happy to kind of jump on. I think that the Backstage community in particular has really come around these Zoom sessions and our educational programming in an exciting way. So we're happy to add you to the mix.
It's awesome right now. It's awesome to really focus on one's craft and knowledge of the industry while we can, you know.
Right, exactly.
Great opportunity.
Now, just for starters then, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you kind of started as a talent agent in Los Angeles and then decided to move out to Atlanta to kind of plant your roots there. Just talk us through kind of the highlights of that move and what you've been up to.
Well, I partially moved for a girl.
Okay.
I didn't really want to move to Atlanta. As far as I knew, it was like The Walking Dead and one of the Vampire Diaries spinoffs. I didn't really know what was going on.
Sure.
But I packed up my stuff and moved across the country and was pleasantly shocked at how busy it was. It was booming day one, and up until the pandemic, on fire. I mean, my day starts in the 7 o'clock hour and goes till 11 or midnight every day,
Wow.
working on 50 plus projects at a time. And when I moved here, it was about 3 years ago now, and we were mostly a day player market, kind of starting to book bigger roles. But right up until this whole coronavirus, I mean, we had a CW series regular going in for his final call. We have a lot of series regulars, a lot of major recurring guest stars, all over the major platforms right now. I mean, Atlanta has really changed and evolved into a massive market.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that within that market, are you finding that it's largely television projects versus feature film?
It's both. In 2017, I think Movie Maker magazine said that Atlanta was the #1 destination for filming feature films anywhere in the world. And then the year after, it wasn't as much, but it's a lot. I mean, we've got every major director coming here. Even Spielberg was here working on amazing stories, and Clint Eastwood's done 3 movies in the time I've been here. So,
really awesome. Now, can you tell us a bit about what your roster looks like? What kind of actors and what level of actors, shall we say, are you signing yourself, and what kind of projects are they getting?
I would say that our roster is very large.
Okay.
There are 2 huge agencies in Atlanta that I would, I jokingly say that are like the CAA and WME of Atlanta. Wow. And we're one of them. The company I work for is called AMT, which stands for Atlanta Models and Talent. It's the oldest agency in Atlanta, which I take a lot of pride in. They were founded in 1959 and SAG franchised. So we just had our 60th year celebration in December. And we probably have about 670-ish clients. When I got here, we had over 1,000. And I said, this is completely unmanageable, and so many actors don't even have a reel. How am I supposed to know if they're any good? I'm their new agent. Like, how can I present them if I can't even see their material? So the owner, who's awesome and has been here a really long time, she let me slash the roster down. I cut about 400 people that I just honestly just didn't believe in. And that really gave priority to those that I do. And it's been quite the fun ride with them.
Yeah. Well, it's important to know where you can expend your energy and to be invested in the roster that you do have. I think it's great that you were able to go in there and prioritize that.
And now I love them. Like, I love my roster now.
Yeah. And how do you find new talent if you're adding to your roster?
I actually talk about that. So I just wrote a book.
Yeah.
During this time, I had the thoughts for years. I finally did it. It's officially available now. Ask an agent. And I talk about that in the book because I think a lot of people have that question: how do I get an agent? And then even after you get an agent, how do I work with them? You have to get our attention. That's the first thing. And a lot of people just go through social media, which is probably not the best way to do it. I do connect with a lot of actors through Instagram, but I escape to Instagram for fun, to chat with my friends and see my fraternity brothers and my friends from high school and keep up with family. I don't go to Instagram to work at 11 o'clock at night, to look through headshots and watch reels. So the best is definitely during the day. And I would say that if you want to catch our attention, it's smartest to go through the agency website, because that's the professional way we're requesting it. Any other way is not how we're requesting it. You know what I mean? And I would say a key to getting our attention is brevity. I try to get managers sometimes for actors on my roster, and I recently had a success story where I wrote to a huge manager in LA and said, I've got this chick, she made $50K last year as an actress, looking for a manager. Want to talk to her? He texts me back, yep, let's set up a phone call. Get to the point. I did not write him. I could have sent him a 15-minute email with 4 paragraphs about everything she's done and how much I believe in her, how talented she is, how awesome she is. It broken down what she's got coming out. He would never have read it.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't have worked. So you have to really be as concise as possible. It's so important because we're busy. We are selling all day long. We're not buying. You know what I mean? And another really great way to get our attention, I think this is the number one, is to be in a showcase or a workshop somewhere, or like a class that provides that kind of platform at the end. Because when I'm sitting at a showcase, you have my full attention. You've got my 100% attention. I'm there to potentially buy. And I've probably brought on 20 to 30 clients in the past 2 years, and they're almost all making money. And these are people that I saw their work and I met them in person and they had my attention.
That's great. That's great. Well, I don't want to take away too many questions from our audience of 300 here, but just a couple more from me. You mentioned that brevity, it will get your attention, will get you in the door for a meeting. What advice do you have for actors to make the most out of that meeting? What are you looking for once you're actually sitting face to face?
They should come in the room with their ducks in a row. You know, when someone does come in with a bazillion questions, I don't know if they're ready, because a lot of those questions can be answered as simply as Googling them or asking an acting coach or a teacher. You know what else I think is awesome? I love when actors have an actor mentor, and not just someone who's been around for a while, but somebody who's legit making money at this. I always say if every actor had an actor that they looked up to, my job would be easier and the world would be a better place. You know, so you can come into that meeting kind of just proving that you're ready to make money tomorrow, because that's what I want to sign. I want to sign somebody that's ready to go tomorrow, that all they have to do is switch over on all their sites, or they're already ready to go on all of the websites, Backstage and Actors Access and casting networks and all that jazz. And I can start working, 20 minutes after they leave the meeting, get them an audition, and they might book it that week. What I don't want to do is spend 6 months trying to get them their first few auditions, and then finally a year later they book something and we make $100 off them. Like, time is money. So I'd like to make money for them and off them within, 7 days if possible.
Totally.
The only way to do that is come into that meeting ready. Have your weapons ready.
And final question for you then. You've been at this for a handful of years. How long is it that you've been in Atlanta?
I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary.
3 years. All right. And how long have you been an agent, just big picture?
I started in 2009 as like a commercial assistant. Didn't know what the heck I was doing. And then did that for a while. I took a quick dip because I had a small writing and directing career that was kind of going somewhere, but I'm not proud of any of it. I'm proud that I finished some movies and that they're available, but they're not good, and I'm not real proud of them. But I learned a lot doing that. And then 2015, I went back into being an agent and studied a lot about it.
Got it. Okay. So in that handful of years, how has the industry changed from your perspective?
Well, the DVD market completely disappeared. So that's an entire distribution window that's gone. And now we have the streaming market, which I think is awesome because we live in this like binge craving society, and shelf space is now unlimited. We have an infinite amount of potential work and we can't get enough content fast enough. And I think it's really wonderful, especially in Atlanta. I don't know if there's ever been a time in the history of cinema where there has been a market with so many opportunities and such a small number of competition. So I've got actors that are really, really talented, especially when I first got here, really talented with great headshots and a reel to prove it and some education. And now they have 5-6 major network credits and have worked with major casting directors and major directors. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time. Obviously, we're in a bit of a bubble right now for this extended amount of time, but big picture industry-wise, I feel like Atlanta in particular is a pretty exciting place to be working.
And we will get through this, people. We'll get through this and we'll bounce back.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, I do want to open it up to some audience questions. We have awesome, we capped at 300 today, and thank you everyone for joining us. The way this is going to work is use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. I believe it's the bottom right. And to ask a question, we are recording right now, so I do ask that you have your camera on so that we can see face-to-face, have that quick face-to-face interaction, know who we're talking to, and you will be on camera for the video that's recorded and saved to YouTube later. To get things going, I will first go to Amber Doig-Thorne. Amber, you are off mute.
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for doing this Q&A. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Hey, Amber.
So my question is, in case you couldn't tell from the accent, I'm British. I live in London. Would you ever consider signing a British actor who lives in England? And if so, what would be the best way for us to get in touch with you and discuss that? Would you be happy for us to send over an email with our reels, headshots, kind of a bit more info about us?
You can send anything at any time. I'll be completely honest with you, though, that's tough, and I'll tell you why. The logistics. Things change constantly. I still rep one of my best friends from LA. I still rep a bunch of people that I worked with in LA. It's an absolute nightmare for them, though. They'll get on a flight, land here, and then find out from the second AD that emailed them while they were on the flight, the shoot has lost their location, and now they're needed in a month. So then they fly back on their own dollar. Then they fly back a month later only to find out, you know what, now we don't need you for another week. So now they're stuck here paying for a hotel and Ubers for 7 straight days. This happens constantly. So, and I feel terrible for actors. My heart goes out to them because you want to act so bad and you'll do anything you can for the most part to get work. But it's really tough if you don't live there, you know, or live here. And I think the smartest thing you can do is to really, really focus on your local market first. Make some good money. Make sure you're getting health insurance. Build an amazing reel and amazing connections. I say grow those wings and then soar.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you so much, Jason.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Amber. Next, we're going to go over to John Backstrom. John, you are off mute.
Oh, hey, thank you. Hi, Jason.
What's up?
Thanks for doing this. My name's John. I'm up here in New York. Hope you guys are safe down there. Brevity, how do I find or differentiate a legit showcase from some of these more scammy pay-to-play showcases?
That's a good question. I definitely would look up reviews. You know, research pays, literally. So figure out, you know, how is their appearance online, and if you can, see actors that are taking them. And at the same time, I don't like the pay for play stuff, but I do think that there's this bizarre like investment in your career. And I always say that, like, even taking this, like subscribing to Backstage, brilliant. You have to spend money to make money in anything. If you're going to open a restaurant as a chef, you got to buy stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's okay, but spend wisely. And I would check Google, and I would ask your peers. I would find actors that have success stories and say, where did you get it? You know, where did you get your success? And then kind of follow in their steps as opposed to just making blind decisions.
Thank you. It's really great.
You got a cool look, man.
Likewise. Takes one to know one, right?
Thank you.
Awesome. Good question, John. And we are next going to go to, one second here, Keith Nusbaum. So Keith, you are off mute.
My question is, like, is there a certain time of the year where you are looking for people as opposed to other times? I know, like, it's probably not all the time that you're looking for new talent, but is there a specific time that one should submit?
I get that question a lot. That definitely. So my book has 98 questions answered. That's one of them because I get that a lot. Great question, man. I would definitely say that the slower times you have more of our time. You know, so like Thanksgiving to Christmas, we're just a little less busy in the office. That being said, don't wait all year. If you've got your ducks in a row, meaning you have all of the necessary tools that an agent would need to go to work on your behalf tomorrow, submit then. Submit when you're ready. Because it could be a timing issue. Like we just were going through pilot season in February, and I had 4 shows that needed 18 to play younger actors that are 18 that need to play younger.
Right.
And if a bunch of 18 to play youngers were submitting right then that week, I've been like, yes, take these people. We need them. And now they're, you know, I've got roles on my desk. I can use this person and they're talented. Look, they've got everything I need. So submit when you're most ready, when you're ready to make money tomorrow. Not when you think you are, but when you can actually deliver the tools necessary to help start building that mansion for you.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith. Next, we're going to go to Danny Garrison. Danny, you're off mute.
Hi. All right. Hi, Jason. Thank you.
Hey, Danny.
My question is, what advice would you give to someone who is under 18, 17, being in high school? It was like, I still have to get through high school before I can put my full heart into acting, all that stuff. Like, what advice would you give to them who like can't make a reel because they're too busy, because they can't get work because we live in a place that's not really like LA or Atlanta, small town?
Where do you live?
Well, okay, it's Vancouver, Washington. It's near Portland, but Portland doesn't get that many films for people my age.
Okay. That's a good question, man. You know, I grew up in Sandusky, Ohio, which was like a really small town.
Yeah.
30,000 people. And my mom, bless her, was like my manager and took me all over the country acting.
Mm-hmm.
Get an agent in the closest city that you can, because there will be some work, whether it's commercials or industrial films, which are like, you know, how-to films. Like I did a Wendy's one as a kid where I was like the bad employee, but I learned how to be on a set that day and work with a director. You know, you can get an agent in a relatively large city, even if you have to drive. In Sandusky, there wasn't anywhere close by. So I had an agent in Columbus and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Cleveland and, you know, go out to Chicago, like fine. So you're not, how far are you from Vancouver?
When I'm in Vancouver. So the closest
there's
town.
There's a ton of work in Vancouver, right?
In Vancouver. Well, wait. Oh, Vancouver, Washington, not Canada.
Oh, not Canada. Okay.
That's like 3 hours away.
There you go, 3 hours away. So I had an agent that was 3 hours away in Pittsburgh, and they got me auditions all the time. And I was auditioning to be Michelle Pfeiffer's son, and I'd have to drive 3 hours to go do it. There's work in Vancouver, man. There is work there. And don't say you don't have time to make a reel, because you know what? There's somebody else out there who wants it more than you, and they will find a way to get it done. In today's modern world, you can shoot a reel on a phone and edit it and put it together yourself. And I'm one of those agents, I don't actually care so much about the quality if I can see that the acting is really good. You know what? Cream rises to the top always. If you're a good actor and I can see that on film, I'm going to be able to sell that to somebody else. So if you want it bad enough, you will get that done, and you can get it done really inexpensively.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Danny. Next, we're going to go to Tonya Todd. Tonya, you're off mute.
Hi, Jason. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. That's nice of you.
Well, I'm an author, so I understand. My question for you is, what is the best way for one of your actors to partner with you to get them in the door for auditions with the major studios?
You know, we don't really set up meetings with studios. We more so attack realistic opportunities as they're presented to the world through, you know, online platforms where we submit actors. So all day long, every day, I'm seeing what's realistic, what's in front of me, what's available. And I'm taking the actors on my roster and submitting and pitching the heck out of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tonya. Let's go over to Catherine Booth. Catherine?
Hi, it's Katie, actually. I wish I hadn't done that. Katie Booth. So I have kind of 2 questions, and you kind of already covered one of them, but how do you feel, or how willing are you to work with clients that are not Southeast located, but they're a bit closer? So like say New York, and maybe they can work locally. And then also how important is it to you that your clients are creating their own materials or their own content? And does that affect whether or not you want to work with them or represent them?
Love the second question. Briefly on the first one, not that I don't love the first one, but briefly on that, it's tough. It's tough to work with someone who's not in the local market, because you're up against a ton of actors that are here, that casting already knows, that can make it to a same day fitting, you know, so it's tough. So if I had the choice between Two, I'm always going to go with the actor that lives here, unless you're super unique. You know, like you do look 18 to play younger, and maybe I would have taken a chance on you if I saw your reel and it was kick-ass. You know, so there's that. If you're really unique and really talented, and there's a need for you, I might be willing to give it a shot. You know, but it's not up to me; it's up to our entire agency. Question two: I have so much mad respect for those who create their own content. I was a filmmaker. I know what it's like. I started on a flip camera in 2006 and taught myself to edit on YouTube videos. It's hard work, but it really helps you understand the psyche of wearing other hats within the industry. You know how hard it is to write and direct. And I challenge every actor to cast a project too, because then you can see, wow, there's like 3 or 4 people really good for this role, but I can only pick one.
Yeah.
And I love that, because as soon as an actor casts a project, they suddenly realize that half the time they don't book it. Not half the time, 99% of the time you don't book it. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because somebody else was just the right choice. So I think that's great if you can create your own content. You're going to learn a lot. And I always say knowledge is power, and I want to work with powerful people. So get yourself more power.
Okay, thank you.
AKA more knowledge, Katie.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Let's go over to Edward. Edward, you're off mute.
Hello, Jason. I'm from New York, and I'm trying to sign with an agency locally. How could I present myself in terms of auditioning for 18 to look young? What's the best advice?
We definitely want to have materials that make you look under 18.
So clean shaven?
Absolutely. And think about roles that are available in that range. What are the stereotypical high school age roles? You know, there's the jock, there's the gamer, there's the hipster, there's the goth kid, the nerd, the student body president. Take some photos looking like all of these characters. I love headshots that tell a story. They say a picture's 1,000 words. Name yourself, give yourself a different name for all these characters, put on these outfits, and you don't have to go like balls to the wall crazy. You don't have to be a nerd with a pocket protector, but maybe some glasses. And the character's name is Ned the nerd. And do a photo shoot and talk into the camera as Ned the nerd who's chasing the girl, and look at the camera a bunch of different ways telling stories. Suddenly you're going to have this plethora of material that you can submit. And the agent's going to go, wow, I could submit him for like 6 different roles. I see him now. He has sold me on the fact that he can play these 6 different roles. I can then use these images to sell him to casting for 6 different roles. I got a guy that reminds me a lot of you, and I want him to do this, and he still hasn't done this yet. I would call you out right now if you're watching.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks, Edward. Let's go over to Kristen Blaze. Kristen?
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for doing this. And my question was, I know that you guys get a lot of submissions from online, and like I was just wondering, how many people do you actually bring in because of those submissions?
I'd say we probably meet with a couple a month. We actually send out a mock audition before we bring someone in the office, because the Southeast is predominantly a self-tape market, which is awesome because there are more opportunities that way. Because there's, you know, if it's in person, there's only so many time slots in the day a casting director can offer. But with, you know, with self-tapes, it's almost unlimited. So we request a self-tape that looks just like a real audition. And it's real sides, like from Stranger Things season 2 or something else that we worked on. And if that's up to par, then we bring people in for a meeting. So we actually send out many more than just a handful of mock auditions. I'd say we send out a couple a week.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And we're always willing to meet with somebody who's unique to our roster. Always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Thanks, Kristen. Let's go over to Amir. I'm not going to attempt the last name just for fear of butchering it, but Amir, you are off mute.
Right. Hi, Jason. I'm talking to you from Britain, actually. And I had a couple of questions, and basically I was wondering if you would be able to answer them for me.
I'll give it my best.
Right, okay. So the first question is, you see, for a lot of people, getting the agent isn't always the hardest, part of the section. It's usually once you've got an agent, then I've heard that there's like this section where it's the agent that has to pick up the phone call to get you the job. And so what's the best way that you can show yourself to the agent to basically, you know, convince them to basically get you the job that you need to get?
Dude, what a brilliant question. So my book is 3 sections. The first section is getting an agent. The second section is working with your agent. The whole section is talking about stuff like this. I can't possibly go into all of it right now, but I will tell you that you are responsible for weapons. I talk about this a lot. You want your agent to go to war for you, right? So you can't just hand me a crappy little knife or tell me to go out and fight this war with my fists. You know, I'm going to get all bloody and I'm going to get tired and we're not going to go anywhere. Plus, you're up against people that are giving me machine guns and grenade launchers and massive tanks. You need to provide amazing materials, amazing weapons so that I can go win for you. Otherwise, it's just an uphill, bloody battle all day long. What are the good weapons? A really strong reel, really showing your talent, having some unique special skills like speaking multiple languages or being able to do different dialects, having a ton of looks that you can convincingly play. You know, give us these weapons. People that you might know, say, I actually know this producer, I know this writer, I know this director, or I interned at this network for a long time. You know, your network can be a weapon. So like any of these weapons that you can collect and give to your agent, it's going to help you because they're the one fighting the battle for you. But I can't just go out there on my own. I need your help. And never forget, like you as the actor, you know, you make 90% and the agent makes 10. So you got to do 90% of that work. And that work starts with preparation.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And for the second question, I was going to say, what would you say are the best platforms to basically connect with agents and basically casting directors?
Casting directors are all over social media. Definitely follow them on Twitter and Instagram, and agents too. You know, you can follow them. Wouldn't pester them, but you could definitely follow them and like their stuff. And, you know, occasionally they might get back to you. It depends. But as far as like really reaching out to agents, I highly recommend like just going off Google and finding all of the agencies in your market and reaching out to them with brevity when you're ready, when your ducks are in a row, and your arsenal is ready to fight.
Right. Thank you so much, Jason.
Welcome, dude.
Thank you, Amir.
Cheers.
And moving forward, can we please limit it to 1 question per person? We have a lot coming in and just want to get to as many as possible in the next 30 minutes. We will go over to Kelsey Centi. Kelsey, all you.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Hey, Kelsey.
Hi. My question is, when you're looking for new talent, what are some of those unique qualities that you're looking for?
I mean, the first thing I look at is resume. So I look to see, have they already been booked by a casting director that I know? Have they already been on a network that I watch? Have they already been on a show that I'm familiar with? Have they already done a movie that I know? If it's a resume with a bunch of credits I don't know at all, that's tough. Then I have to really dig deeper if I have the time and I'm willing to give them the time. And that's usually based on their look. So if their look is unique to my current roster, which is tough because I have 600 plus people, but even your look is slightly unique to my roster. I might have 4 or 5 people that look like you, so it might be worth looking at your stuff. And then after that, I really do look at special skills. You know, I think it's really strong when people can speak multiple languages, including sign language, when you have unique certifications or stunt training, firearms training, horseback riding, stuff like that. These are all things that pop up as opportunities. And when you have these unique skill sets, your competition goes down and your chances go up, which is great for the agent.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. Gonna go over to DeLeon Jase Lincourt. All you.
Hi. Yes, you said my name very well. That was great.
Not bad.
Yeah. So my question, in quarantine right now, thinking a lot about things to do on my own. And one of the things that I have been curious about is how important it is for an agent to have an actor come in knowing their type. And if you could speak to that a little bit.
I think that's great. I think a lot of actors don't know their type, though. And I was a prime example. When I moved to LA in 2008, I wanted to be the tall, dark, and handsome guy. And the first major role I got cast in was a sci-fi movie as the nerdy virgin who saves the world from an alien. You know, your type will cast you. And the best way to find it, I think, is check the patterns that come in through auditions. Even if you're just self-submitting, like on Backstage or wherever, like over and over, see what you're being requested as. That's how other people view you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can definitely ask an agent in the meeting, like, how do you view me? I get that question so much. But I can sometimes see it in pictures too. I'm like, I mean, I can tell you right now, like, there's so many roles that I can see you playing. You seem so nice. I can just tell your energy is warm and kind. And I can see you on The Resident tomorrow as like the nurse who's just doing her job.
Well, thanks. That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. Let's bounce over to Charles Barker. It looks like two of you are sitting there. Charles, all you.
Hi, my name is Claire, and I submitted myself to an LA agency, and I was just wondering, how do I know if they have my submission, and how long do I have to wait for them to get to an interview or something?
If you submitted through the proper channel, they definitely got it. I would say if you haven't heard in like a month or so, they might not be looking for new talent right now. So I'd probably submit again in like 6 months, but I would give it some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we get submissions, we get hundreds sometimes in a day, and we'll look through them occasionally throughout the month. And if over a month goes by, they probably got it and they just couldn't use you at this time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But I wouldn't submit to one. I would submit to a whole bunch because
Right.
there's somebody for everyone, just like marriages, you know, someone for everyone.
Cool, thanks.
Great. Thank you, Claire. And I like that advice to reapply maybe 6 months down the line. I haven't heard that before, but definitely worth revisiting.
Yeah, I mean, there could even be turnover at the agency, and suddenly new blood in the agency sees your stuff and enthusiastically passes you all around the office.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Let's go over to Cassandra Bush. Cassandra?
Hey, I don't know if you can see me, but my question is, I come from a theater background. I took theater in school, I did competition, stuff like that. What's your advice for people that are coming from the theater to stage acting? Because that's what I'm doing. Or TV acting, sorry.
I love the theater. I started doing theater when I was a little kid as well. I know that it teaches a lot of discipline. And so I have mad respect also for that. Here's the biggest thing that I would focus on for you. Just play an objective with your partner. The medium will be different. You know, your voice doesn't need to travel to hit 750 seats. So make sure that your volume is only going as far as the ears that need to hear it. And don't play your objective any differently. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, not really.
Whatever you want from your partner who you're acting with,
okay,
want it just as bad. Focus on that. Don't focus on the camera. Don't focus on the live audience. Just work with whoever you're talking to.
Okay, more personal. It's more personal than the stage. You have multiple audience with the stage.
It will be, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Great, thank you. Let's go over to Jane Eggwire. Jane? Or hold on, trying to unmute you here. There, we can hear you. There we go.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, hello Jason and everyone that's listening. So I'm obviously in England, and I'm really intrigued by what you said about liking actors with mentors. Now that's not something that's generally really done in the UK, but I still want to do it. So
it's not done in the United States either. It's just my personal mission for actors.
I like it. I really want to get on that mission. So from your clients who do have mentors, what works for them in terms of approach?
It's someone that they can go to with questions, because people have questions all day, every day. This is
I know what you mean. I mean, how do you get the mentor? Because you said it's specifically good to go for people who are working prominent actors.
There are a variety of ways. You can definitely study with them if they're a teacher, or if they're in a play. You could see a play and then you read in the playbill, you know, what they've done, and go up to them after the show and say, "You are fantastic. I'm an aspiring actor." I'll tell you that one of the best ways to get a mentor is to lead with compliments.
Okay.
So when I was directing films, I really wanted a director that I could look up to who was directing in my budget range and was successful. I wrote to him out of the blue and I just said, hey, dude, I love your movies. I'm a huge fan. I know it's a long shot asking for your advice, but I will take you to lunch literally anywhere in Beverly Hills you want to go if I can pick your brain. I just finished my first film. He wrote me back in 10 minutes and was like, yeah, dude, like, cool poster. Let's meet up. And now I'm friends with this guy for life. And he helped me get a sales agent. He helped sell my first film. Like, you know, forever will be connected to him. And it all stemmed from just complimenting him really well and humbly asking for help.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Let's go over to Carl Eatwater.
Close.
Carl, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Thanks for doing this. Atwater. And I play the 18 and under, just so you know. Obviously, that's a joke. I'm going to be in 2 shows in Atlanta, as well as theater. I've done film, and I would like to know if I could invite you to see either or both. One's a musical review, the other one's August Wilson piece. And I think I've got my entire package ready, the reel and everything, and I'd like to know how I can get that to you.
You definitely can. Shoot the email to contact@AMT Agency, which is on the AMT website, which if you didn't catch that, you can always Google. But I will say this, and I talk about this in my book too, because I get asked to go see a lot of plays, comedy, improv. I get asked to go to a lot. I barely have a life as it is. So it's really, really hard for me to dedicate an hour, 2 hours to someone that I don't know at all. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I'm not supporting you. It doesn't mean I don't wish you break a leg, not literally. It just means that, like, I'm going to have a heart attack before I'm 40 if I don't slow down. So I probably won't be able to make it, man.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I won't. And it doesn't mean that I don't wish you luck.
Okay. I'm going to be the featured performer in the musical, just so you know.
I'm glad. I like your energy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. And congrats on the 2 productions.
Thank you.
And Jason, I do appreciate your candidness there, just in terms of it's a difficult role that you have to be dedicating your evenings, and it's a full-time job, stretching yourself thin. You got to take care of yourself in addition to taking care of your day-to-day work. So
with 600 clients, there's always a birthday party. There's always a booking to celebrate. There's always a wrap party from shooting. There's always a screening to go to. And part of the reason I'm still not married and have kids, even though I want to do both of those things so bad, is because I just haven't had the personal life to do it. I'm dedicating way too much time and energy. So it's about finding that work-life balance. And if I'm a happier human, because I am a human first, I'll be a better agent.
Yeah.
And I love that my clients have finally started to get that going into year 3.
Right. Yeah. And in terms of dedicating those evenings to people that you don't know, the way that you do get to know people is through just the traditional process of applying online, getting on your radar, everything that you're talking about now. Just for, I wanted to kind of elaborate on that as well. But let's go over to Michelle Sewell. Michelle?
Hi, Jason. How are you? It's been
Michelle.
So my question is, and by the way, I'm also located in Atlanta. For actors that do have a stacked resume, but they do have a hard time getting an agent, is there anything that we can do to improve? And I also do have like a mentor. Right now I'm actually using Angela Davis, so I'm kind of trying to do all those steps. But
I love Angela.
Yeah, I love her too. She's pretty awesome. So
have her send me all your stuff.
Okay.
That's a referral, and I talk about that in the book too. You know, if it's all goes back to getting the agent's attention. How can you get our attention? If you go through someone who I really know and respect, not just an actor on my roster, but someone like Angela, who I've booked 10 times in major roles over the past 3 years and work with on a close personal level, and she has my cell phone number.
Yeah.
That's somebody that can help put your stuff in front of me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Let's go over to Rachel McVeigh. Rachel?
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Hey, Rachel.
So my question is, I have commercial reps and voiceover reps, but looking to get theatrical. Is that something that you personally consider with your clients? Do you consider referrals through other agents in your division, in other divisions?
In the Southeast, almost every agency is across the board. It was not like that when I was in Los Angeles. So in LA, So I was theatrical. I was only filming TV in LA, and I loved it because I only had 90 clients, even though the agency had hundreds. But here in the Southeast, it's across the board. So you have to be with one agent for everything.
So if I were to, that would probably just be a conversation that I would ask my commercial agent if she would be willing to refer me to her theatrical department.
Absolutely. Talk about a great referral.
Yeah.
And that happened all the time. You know, when I was an agent in LA, like all the time, the commercial agents would be like, Jason, this guy wants, you know, film and TV rep. Will you look at his stuff? Of course I'm going to. All I have to do is go like this, and they're going to just show it to me on their screen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Let's go over to Allison Freedman. Allison, you are off mute. Hold on. Great. There we go.
Hi, Jason. Thank you. I have a quick question regarding for the 50 and up category of people who have their materials together, do not have representation. How do they get access to the roles that are the ones that might reintroduce them back into the industry again?
There are roles for everyone of every age, size, shape, color at all times, but it's completely sporadic. You would submit no different than a 22-year-old, you know, with all of your ducks in a row. You submit the exact same way, come in for a meeting the exact same way, and you get auditions the exact same way. When they pop up and are available, we submit and pitch you just as hard as we would anybody else. I actually love working with some of the older clients because I just think with age comes wisdom and patience, and patience is huge. Patience is huge.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. Let's go on over to Vincent Stalba. Vincent, how are you?
I just wanted to finish a thought from the very first question. After living in the Southeast, I booked quite a few co-stars and some features, and then now I'm in LA. And I'm just wondering if I should divorce myself from the Southeast now, because after listening to Megan Lewis's chat and a lot of other casting directors locally there, they don't seem like they want to work with LA actors. And I guess it used to be easier, but like I just booked something with the Finn Cannons. They needed me there the next day, and I couldn't do it. And, you know, I'm just wondering if I need to finally like kind of purge myself from that. I still have representation there. Liz Coulon, Lori Wyman still calls me in, but I'm just wondering like, what is the best thing I can do for my business in LA? And I just want your thoughts on that.
I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why our company is thriving right now is because I am brutally honest with not just my actors, but with casting.
Yeah.
Almost everyone we cut doesn't live within 50 miles of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And the casting directors here, all the biggest ones, they know and love AMT because they trust that almost every single submission, aside from like Jansen Panettiere or Martin Cove, lives here in Atlanta and can show up and be there. They love that. So there's a sense of trust. And Mark Fincannon called me out in front of all the other agents saying something really nice about me. And I took pride in that because I've worked so hard to just being honest and trying to be efficient. Now, to answer your question, should you break up with Atlanta? I can't tell you what's best for your business. But what I can tell you to do is ask yourself what matters most to you. And that's one of the recurring themes from my book, dude. Ask yourself, what do you really want? Because I get asked all day long from actors here that have a slew of credits and a reel that's 3 minutes long opposite A-list stars and major networks. Should I go to LA? Should I go to LA? Here's my answer. Ask yourself, what do you really want? Do you want to pay 3 times more to live? Do you want your auditions to slow down? Do you want to be seeing palm trees and live near the beach and you have friends there? Because LA is awesome, and I miss my friends every day, and I miss the healthy lifestyle and the food and the beach and surfing before work. But I love working so hard and tasting more industry success that price is worth paying. So ask yourself what you want.
I never auditioned more in my life in the Southeast. And like, I'm not upset at myself for moving to LA, but just to let everybody else know, it's so hard to get in the room in LA, even with like good credits.
Dude, you're talking to an agent.
And it's so hard. What was that?
You're talking to an agent from LA. Here's my metaphor for LA, and everyone, hopefully everyone can kind of envision this. I worked 80 hours a week. I would, for 90 clients, some were celebrities even. And I would get up and I would run really, really hard all day long, as fast as I could. And almost every day I would smash into a brick wall. And I call that brick wall competition. There's just so much. Doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how much you hustle. You're going to smash into that wall and it hurts. But here's the exciting thing about Atlanta. And I'm not trying to sell anyone on moving to Atlanta. I just love it. I get up here every day and I run really, really hard, really, really fast. And I break through that wall all damn day. And I take other people with me to the point where they're consistent working actors, making six figures, putting food on their tables, and having health insurance for their family. And it's rewarding. And if I ask myself, what do I really want? That's what I want.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. Thanks, Vincent. You have some admirers in here, Jason. Jason Lockhart is greater than Ari Gold, for instance. Thought you might like that.
I might be a little taller.
Yeah.
I don't know about greater.
Maybe, yeah. Let's, for our next question, go over to Jasmine Stolbinger. Jasmine?
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you. My question is, if you start your career and you don't have an agent yet, do you have to sort of, are you responsible for your own work in the beginning? For example, like contacting casting directors on your own to get some credits for your resume?
You can, and there are really great platforms like Backstage where you can sign up and submit your own materials, and until you have an agent, you should be your own, you know? It goes back to starting a business. So if you're an actor, you're president of your own company. You know, by the time you get an agent, they're just like a VP of marketing. So if you want to start this company, you have to start the company. You know, all caps. Find ways to get work. You know, find ways to get headshots. Start creating your own content. Maybe build a website. Build your network. Go see plays and improv, and get into the scene. You know, start. You know, use the parallel. If I were to start any business, how would I break into that community? And try to surround yourself with people making money, because at the end of the day, don't just, you know, chase your dreams, but try to turn it into a financial career if that's the goal.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jasmine. Let's go over to Emperor Kyle. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that last name, but
worries. Hello. Actually, I'm Emperor's mom. I'm Jay Van Buren. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how are you?
Great. Congratulations on your award for your film. I saw a picture with you holding your award. Like, yay, good for him. You go, boy.
Thank you.
I'm an actress, but I wanted to talk about my son. My question was my son. I'm thinking we're in New York City, and he's won like a Best Actor award here, and he does pretty well. He's on a commercial now. Couple of commercials. He's been in a couple of major television productions. He has some friends that are in Atlanta, and I wanted to know, like, here they just announced that Broadway's closed until September. So I'm thinking that some other things, you know, production and stuff might be too here. I know that some places in Atlanta opened up already. They started to open some places up in Atlanta, but what is production? Do you anticipate the summer being busy there? Because I'm thinking of bringing him to Atlanta for the summer to work.
It's impossible to give you an honest, predictable answer here, but I will say that it's looking like work is coming back. I believe that Tyler Perry and some other projects are going to start shooting around the end of June, early July, but this is all contingent on a lot of factors. And in fact, as soon as I get off of this Zoom, I have a call with the executive director of SAG-AFTRA, and we're going to, you know, talk about some stuff and some safety precautions. And, you know, I'm pretty good friends with some other agents in town, and we're all talking, we're Zooming and hopeful. And we are taking steps forward, and things look to be happening this summer, but I don't think it's going to be busy right away. It's going to be a gradual gradual return.
Okay. Does your agency represent children?
We do, yeah, we do.
Okay, well, that's his name, Empress Kyle. I'll be sending you his packet, and he has a bunch of reels. Yeah, he has Facebook, reels and everything right here on Backstage. So please look out for that. And thank you so much for holding your Q&A, taking your time to do that. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here and wanting to learn something.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will take 3 more questions to round out the hour. Next question is going to go to Zahra Davis.
Hi, Jason. Okay, so my question, I graduated from, I got my bachelor's in December, and I currently live in California, in the Central Valley. Los Angeles is like a 6-hour drive, and I got into Fullerton and Northridge out there, but I also got into Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta. So I was just in Atlanta last weekend. No, like I got back yesterday, like this last weekend that we just had. But what do you think, like as an African-American actress, like where do you think I should go? Because I'm studying digital media production because I write too as well, and I want to really just be able to do what I want to do and create content, but I really want to pursue acting as well. So, I mean, Los Angeles is so busy, and I don't have like the biggest resume. So do you have like I don't know.
Yeah, I have an opinion.
Okay.
There are a lot of African-American opportunities in Atlanta.
Okay.
From my time here, I've seen a lot of roles that you would be right for, just off of race. But I mean, I submit blindly. I submit you for white roles too. I mean, there have been a lot in the 3 years I've been here. Some shows that 90% of the cast is African-American.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. For the final 2 questions here, going to go to first Misha Brooks and then Dana Chapman. And that's going to round up this hour of questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, Misha, you are up first.
Hello, Jason. Thanks again.
Hello.
So I am often, this is going on the question about type. So I am often requested for vampires, I auditioned for Dune, for instance. So a lot of like supernatural roles and very like edgy roles, which I do love, but obviously my personality is very smiley. So in thinking of how do I expand that so that I'm actually requested for roles that are also my own personal personality, or is it better to just lean into what I'm being requested for and let that drive everything?
Definitely lean into what you're being requested for and try to book that. So like, here's a great example. I've got a guy who is probably like 6'5", African-American, really strong, really smart. I mean, this guy just seems like he could be a doctor or a lawyer, but he always gets cast as the security guard or the bouncer because of his physique. And he's like, man, I want to do comedy and I want to play a doctor and I want to do all these other things. I'm like, I want you to too. So we'll keep trying to do those things. Meanwhile, get me the freaking materials that show that you look like a doctor, that you could play a doctor. Like, it's stupid, but put on some glasses and a headshot and you're gonna look smarter, man. But don't stray away from what you're being called in for.
Right.
Make as much money as possible in the niche that casting is willing to see you in, but continuously try to expand on things you want to expand on by providing your agent the necessary tools.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Misha. And then going over to, just lost her, here she is, Dana Chapman for our final question. Dana, all you.
Hi, Jason. Not sure if you remember me. I was part of your webisode project years ago in LA.
Hi. I do. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm curious about how the commercial union scene is there. I never really hear much about it. And I mean, that's obviously been my bread and butter here in LA. I've done really well in commercials. Would love to get into more of the theatrical scene in Southeast, but again, I know the stipulations and just being there, like you were saying, but just curious how the union commercial scene is there.
There is a market. Our commercial division is thriving. I mean, they're very busy, but I'd say it's probably a 70-30 split. So 70% is non-union. But also, even though there's only 30% of the commercials that shoot here are union, the competition that you have as a union actor with a lot of commercial experience is drastically less than it would be in Los Angeles. You know, so the pool is smaller. So even though there might not be as many opportunities, there's not as much competition.
Interesting. Okay. Thank
you. Do you remember David Langell? Do you know that actor?
No, not really. I don't think.
I rep him, and he's famous for doing commercials. He did the Geico one as the valet driver. He's done a ton.
Okay.
And he's doing a lot of film and TV here, and it's been tough though for him commercially in LA, and he was rocking commercials in LA for a while.
Yeah, a lot of it has gone non-union here as well. So I was just curious if it was busier over there or whatnot, but
everything's busy because the tax incentives, for every production are fantastic.
Yeah, it's very tempting.
Yeah, there's a very strong infrastructure and community in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. So is he in LA still, or he's there now? You're saying?
He's back and forth. He's one of the ones I talked about who's had some really expensive errors.
Got it. Awesome. Well, good to see you. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Dana. Awesome. Well, going through our questions here, I realized that we didn't get to all of them in the hour. We will continue hosting these every single week with various people across the industry, casting directors, talent agents, you name it. So be sure to check out our slate programming. I will link to it for those of you who are first timers to our programming. This link that I'm putting in the chat here would be great to add to your Google Calendar, bookmark it, share it. And that basically gives the rundown up to the day of what we have coming up with our slate programming, with these Zoom sessions and whatnot. Jason, I'll hand it over to you just to wrap it up. We really appreciate your time. It was a great hour, but I know that you have a book that you'd like us to take a peek at too, so feel free to wrap it up and give it a little plug.
Well, I will say thank you to everyone that chimed in today, not just with questions, but with their ears that listened. It's so amazing that you gave up an hour of your time to want to learn more about the business side of the industry. I think that's so important. If you were to go into any industry, you've got to learn about it. You're not going to make six figures without a lot of knowledge and experience. So thank you for your time, and I hope you got at least something out of today. That said, I'm just one guy, so anything I said is not the be all end all. It's my opinion. So take it with a grain of salt, or hopefully, you got something. And if you want more, I wrote this book for actors because I love actors, and I feel like they have a million questions, and people that want to be actors have a million questions. And I finally had the time during this quarantine to write it. So yeah, I've got it right here. If you go to my Instagram, it's just Jason_Lockhart. The link is right there to get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble. It's got 98 questions answered. And I hope it helps people. I'm not going to make a ton of money on it. I'm going to donate to charities and stuff. I really want actors to learn and grow, and people to make money off this business, because you can.
Awesome. Yeah, this is just a nice teaser of what's to come with 98 questions in the book, I'm sure. And Jason, thank you again. And I'm glad to see that you're staying healthy and well through this strange time that we're all going through.
You too, Beth.
And everyone else, stay healthy out there. We will be back with varied slate programming later this week and into next. And if we're lucky, maybe we can get Jason to join us again. This was so great. So we will see you next time, and have a good rest of your day.
All right. Goodbye, everyone, and good luck.